There are four major obstacles to goal setting. Because everybody's heard about goal setting all their lives, why is it that everybody doesn't have goals? Here they are. A,
fear of failure. People are so afraid of failing if they set a goal for themselves that they don't accomplish, that they don't set any goals at all. In other words, they set themselves up for failure by avoiding failure. I think it was General Douglas MacArthur who said, there's no security in life, only opportunity. And the only way you can guarantee failure is to be so afraid of failing that you don't try anything at all. So the second reason is fear of rejection. Fear of rejection is people are so afraid that other people will criticize them if they set a big goal, or they're feared that people will criticize them if they set a goal and don't accomplish it, if they don't set it at all. Now here's the key to the fear of criticism. And the key is very simple. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. Give it to yourself. If you set a goal, write it down quietly, share it with your spouse maybe, but don't tell anybody else. Show people, but don't tell them. That way, if you don't accomplish it, it doesn't matter because nobody knew about it. And what happens if you don't accomplish it, you just set the date back, and you set the date back until eventually you do. And then everybody will turn around and say how lucky you are. But don't tell other people. Now, here's the third reason why people don't set goals. They don't know how. You say, well, that's ridiculous. People don't know how. But here's the biggest mistake that we make. It's something that is so important in life, like goal setting. We think they already know how to do it. And I say to my audiences, I've said this for many years, and I'll say it to you, if you really know how to set goals properly, then you must be very wealthy. You must be a very successful person. Because if you're not a very successful person, if you're not doing extremely well in life, then something's wrong with the way you're setting goals. Because people who become accomplished, skilled goal setters inevitably accomplish an enormous amount in life. The great majority of people haven't been taught, and the great tragedy is that the great majority of people think they already know, so they don't try to learn. And finally, the last reason why people don't set goals is they don't understand the importance of goal setting. If you were raised in a family and you were never told at a young age how important, how vital, how indispensable goal setting is for your success, then you would have grown up without even understanding that goal setting was important. If you were raised in a family where people didn't talk about goals around the family dinner table, where the people you went to school with didn't have goals, when you went up to school and the teachers didn't have goals, you could get out of school, as I did, travel, be an adult, move around the world, and never know how important goal setting is. And you know that 97% of the population has no goals? 97% of people do not have written goals. They are just drifting. It's almost like driving down the road of life with your hands off the wheel and hoping that you don't go in the ditch, and yet knowing that it's inevitable. Most people's lives are just a series of haphazard and random events because they don't have goals.
The two factors that create the feeling of helplessness and of being stuck in a rut are fear and ignorance. Fear is and always has been your greatest enemy. Fear and self-doubt do more to hold you back from dreaming big dreams and accomplishing great things than any other factors.
The fear of failure is learned in early childhood when children are told over and over again, no, stop, don't, get away from there, stop touching that. Children hear the first word they hear over and over again is no, stop, no. Children are driven by instinct to touch and taste and smell and feel and get into everything. They're little kamikaze pilots. They have no sense of danger, nothing. And parents are always trying to protect them by saying, no, stop that, get away from there, leave that alone, put that down, now look what you've done. Children eventually, if they are verbally, emotionally, and physically disabused, begin to develop the feeling, I can't. I'm too small. Every time I try something, Mommy gets mad at me. They get angry with me. They shout at me. I can't. I can't. I can't. And as adults, whenever we're presented with a new opportunity, a new possibility, a book, a tape, a course, a job, a promotion, the first thing, I can't. I can't. Come up here and speak to the group. Oh, God, I can't. I can't. I can't. Just stand up and tell us how you got to where you are in your life. Oh, 54% of adults would rather die than speak in public. I can't. So whenever you're confronted with an opportunity to do something different, your natural response, which is taking you out of your comfort zone, is, I can't. We always feel this fear of failure in our solar plexus. It starts in the front of our body, and our solar plexus moves up through our stomach, to our heart, our lungs, our throat. It can even give us headaches. It can cause our bladder to go loose and cause us to have to run and go to the bathroom. This fear of failure is terrible.
Now here's the most wonderful thing about overcoming fears. If the fear of failure is summarized with the feeling, I can't, psychologists have found you can actually short-circuit or override the fear by saying to yourself very strongly, I can do it. 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 So whenever you're afraid of anything, talking to somebody, confronting someone, dealing with something, say to yourself over and over again, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. And then just do it. And you'll be amazed the fear disappears. It's almost like, poof, it's gone. So the key is, you're looking at that telephone, to pick up the phone, to cold call, to prospect, just say to yourself, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it, and pick it up and dial. And suddenly the fear disappears. And you do this repeatedly, and eventually you develop the habit of courage.
Tell your kids you can do it. Tell your spouse you can do it. Tell your friends you can do it. Tell people who are looking at a new challenge you can do it. Start a business, you can do it. Call on a big customer, you can do it. Just tell people you can do it, because every single time you reinforce somebody else, you reinforce your own courage. What is the word encourage? It is to instill courage into. When you encourage other people, you actually encourage yourself. And remember, fear is the big enemy. Our job is to get rid of this fear of failure. This fear of failure that holds us back and paralyzes us.
Mr. Shope, who only went to the 8th grade in school, but he gave me the classic point to ponder here when I was 25 years old. And it was put in such simple terms, I've never forgotten it. Let me put it in those same terms for you. Here's what he said. Learn to express, not impress. That was so helpful for me, because it's easy to engage in language just designed to impress instead of express. But Shope said if you want to touch somebody, learn to express. Sincerity from the heart, not impress. Impress builds a gulf. Express builds a bridge. Identification is building a bridge. If you're meeting somebody for the first time, it's simply getting acquainted. Building a bridge, making contact. Here's one of the clues. Find something you have in common. That's where you start, something you have in common. Here's the clue to really affecting people. Start with where they are before you try to take them to where you want them to go. Meet people where they are. If somebody's hurting, you got to meet in the hurt. If somebody's in trouble, you got to start with the trouble. The key is to start where somebody is. If they're in trouble, you got to start with trouble. You can't talk success if somebody's in trouble. You got to start, first of all, talking trouble. So that when somebody is stricken in the heart, and you've had this experience, maybe not as deeply, but somewhat of an experience of being stricken in the heart. When you meet somebody and you're trying to help them, you can talk about being stricken in the heart, and it'll have substance, it'll have meaning, it'll have depth. And you start there, and then start building the bridge and start building the path towards solving the problem.
Here's number 3. Read your audience.
So let me give you some clues on reading. Number 1 is simply to listen. Part of reading is listening. You pick up a lot of clues as to what else to say, what all to say, by being a good listener. From early times, I think we've learned to be a good speaker, you've got to be a good listener.